Okay, so let's start. So basically, this idea of this particular talk is to help researchers how to decide a particular target journal for your publication, for your research work. When you have completed your research or you are planning to conduct a study, what are the different considerations that you should consider when you are selecting a target journal? And target journal selection is very much important. It is like a kind of a investment. If you select a wrong journal, like in investment, if you select a wrong instrument, you will face losses. Similarly, here also, if you're good article, if you have a good article and a good work, and you select a wrong instrument or wrong journal, then you will not get maximum benefit out of it. So selecting a target journal, a good target journal or ideal target journal is important from a researcher's perspective. So in this talk, basically, I have tried to cover some of the considerations as a researchers we should consider. And I will also talk about the different copyright policies that exist and some characteristics of the predatory journals that are mushrooming these days. And as a researchers, how we should be aware of the predatory journals and what are the losses that we will incur if we choose predatory journals as our target journal. So we have already, like I have already introduced the topic, but in scholarly communication that we are involved, it is thought as a process of uh, conducting scholarship, creating scholarship, evaluating it, distributing, and then preserving for the future generation. And this whole process involves a lot of activities such as discovery, analysis, writing, publication, outreach, and assessment. So in this, mostly the researchers, they are involved more focused in the discovery part, like conducting the literature reviews. In the analysis part, they learn a lot of software, good software analysis tools. And then they spend a lot of time in writing the manuscripts. And because the ultimate aim for them is to get publications, they also have to make the publication reach to the particular audience that comes under outreach. And the a particular researcher is evaluated, assessed on the basis of the publications. So in this, basically, we are more involved. We should be more involved in the publication part also, which considers activities such as manuscript submission, peer reviewing, resubmissions. So for a early career researchers, it is very important to understand the nuances, how this scholarly communication works, and what are the different steps that are involved in the publication process. Because for an early career researcher, it is very important to have good publications in the beginning of their career, so that at least their base or the beginning of their career is strong. So let us see what is the landscape that is in the scholarly publishing. What are the different venues that exist where the researchers publish their outcome. So if we see that there is a deluge of publications we have seen in the last 4 decades. So if we go through Web of Science, it is around 15,000 journals indexed in Web of Science. And if we include ESCI index also, emerging also, it will be more than 22,000 journals. Similarly, if we go to Scopus and find out how many journals are indexed in that, the numbers are continuously increasing with more than 13%, 14% increase every year. So at present, around 27,000 journals are indexed in Scopus. Similarly, if you know about DOAJ, that is Directory of Open Access Journals, it contains entries of around 15,000 open access journals. Similarly, there is one study that states that approximately 2.5 million new scientific articles are published each year. So this number might be a little bit more also because this data is a little bit 1 or 2 years old. But we can see that a deluge of publications are there. So what are the reasons for this growth? Obviously, the publish or perish phenomena, that is putting pressure on the academia, on the researchers. And it is just like if they don't publish, they will be perished. And this pressure is one of the reasons for this growth in the number of publications. Similarly, the faculty members and the research staffs are evaluated based on their publications so that they will be promoted, leading to higher positions in the upper level of academic hierarchy. Similarly, we have seen also that there is a growth in the number of publication venues also. A lot of new publication venues, means journals and conferences, are organized each year. And also we have seen a rise in the predatory or fake journals also. In fact, there are fake conferences also. Then there is a concept of salami publishing. And one study claims that the number of researchers all over the world are also growing, like 4.5% growth every year it is seen. So the number of institutions are also growing. Countries are focusing more on innovations, establishing more research universities. That is causing the number of the growth in the number of publications. So I have already discussed what we are going to cover in this talk. We are going to cover on the what are the different criteria that are related to the selection of journals. Then we will discuss about some copyright policies that as a researcher we should be aware if we are considering about the making the research publication open accessible or accessible through social networking sites and other sites. Then we can also we should also be aware as a researcher on predatory journals. So journal selection, it is very important what kind of the venue that we are selecting to publish our manuscript, because selecting a most appropriate venue for publication of research is an important decision as it decides impact of your work. What will be the impact of your work? So many researchers, while citing the publications, they see whether in which particular venue that particular paper which they are going to cite is published. Obviously, it seems like a bias, but it is happening. Most of the European researchers, they prefer to cite only the articles which are published in Scopus. They will not cite any article which is available on internet. So Scopus Index journal, at least that is the bare minimum that they see. So if your article is not published in a good journal, then it might be very interesting, might be very original, and might be having a lot of impact for society, but it will not give you give impact in sense of the numbers or metrics that you are expecting. So that also you have to take care. Then publication venue also decides your reputation in field. You might have heard that that a particular person or a researcher has published in a very reputed journal, like in Sciences we talk that he has 3 Nature publications, he has 2 Nature publications, which means that at publishing in a good venue gives an edge among the competitors when you apply for some position or in a reputation in your actual reputation in the field. So choosing an appropriate journal is very important. The institutions also, they consider, in fact, in many institutions like IITs and national importance institutions like IIC, IITs, and ISERs, the publications, even they assess the publication of a particular researchers based on the venues where in what type of journals the particular researcher has published. And this decides the caliber of the researcher. This decides whether that particular researchers will be appointed as a faculty or as a researcher in that institution or not. Similarly, while granting funds, the funding agency also look for a person who will be able to complete the project, a person who will be able to have the expertise in handling the project. So they see what kind of publication the person has, and also they see what kind of what type of journals that person has chosen to publish their research. So that is why there is a craze among the academicians in the reputed journals. They go for reputed journals. They always try to chase reputed journals because these all factors are there, and they are considered while their promotion, while their grants funding available, when they apply for grants and all these cases. So similarly, there are cases where researcher has chosen wrong venues and had to bear loss in above all aspects. As I discussed in the beginning itself, that if you have a very good research and you publish in a poor journal, then you will lose many things. Like you will not get the appropriate reputation in your field. Your work will not have high impact, as you will not able to receive impact from your work. Even in the assessment also, although your work is very good, but many institutions, they don't go through all the publications. They have to filter out the candidates. So they see, they derive some kind of formula, they derive some kind of matrix to filter out the candidates, and one of that matrix is the reputation of the journals in which you have published. So while selecting journals, we also have to, if we select an appropriate journal, we will also be saving a lot of time also. We will be able to avoid desk rejection, and we will be able to save ourselves having post drafting headaches. Means a lot of changes are required, as the editors ask to change a lot of things after you submit the manuscript. So this in this we are going to discuss about some criteria which I have divided into these sections. First, we will discuss about the general criteria that we should consider. So some of in this, all the criteria are not are of high importance. Here just I have mentioned them so that at least you keep in your mind when you are deciding a particular, or when you are considering a particular set of journals for your target journal. So first thing that you have to consider is the subject coverage of the journal. You have to match the subject of your manuscript. Subject in the sense the thought content of your manuscript, and the journal's scope, whether that particular journal's scope is matching with the subject or the scope of your article. If there is a mismatch, there are very less chances that that particular editor is going to accept your journal for even peer review. Then you have to consider the reputation of the journal among your peers. This you will be able to find out from your supervisor or from your colleagues, like what is the reputation of the journal in your field, or over the period of time you will be able to find out which are the reputed journals in your field. Then visibility of journal, this is also important. Why nature is so popular? Because even a person who is not in the sciences is also aware that nature publishes good quality papers. Why? Because it publishes papers and then makes it available through press also. A lot of reports are written, a lot of good newspapers or reputed newspapers, or newspapers having a high coverage, they cover the articles that are published in Nature. So if you are publishing in a journal which is covered by press also or electronic media also, there are chances that your article will have wider publicity and large chances of visibility. So you have to see whether that journal has visibility or not. Then the place of publication also, it matters sometimes, because the sometimes these international journals, they don't feel to publish articles which are not of interest to persons at the global level, because their readership is global in nature, but maybe your research is more appropriate or more interesting for domestic people. So if your research is more interesting for domestic people or experts, you try to go for domestic publication. Don't go for international coverage, because there will be chances that you will waste a lot of time. Then publication frequency is also important. For example, if a journal is publishing 2 issues in a year and another journal is publishing 12 issues in a year, obviously there are more chances, more of your article to be published in the journal which has higher frequency. So that frequency also matters. So you see the frequency of the publication and then decide whether you will go for the journal which is having only 2 publications in a year, 2 issues in a year, or you will go for a publication which has larger, higher frequency. Then you have to also analyze the experts in the editorial board. So while selecting the journal, you see what kind of experts are there in the editorial board. So if there are some experts which belong to your particular area of interest, then there are chances that your article will be considered by the editorial board. There are chances that your article will be given full considerations. If there are no experts from your field, specific field in which you are working or you have conducted research, then maybe there are chances, although the subject, the journal is from your discipline itself, but there are chances that your paper they will not publish, they will reject it, or they will ask you to submit somewhere else. So you, in the beginning itself, you see the editorial board members and try to find if there is some common interface or common interface between you and editorial board members. Then there are chances that your paper will be reviewed at least. Then availability of DOI is also important concern, because DOI provides universal accessibility and long time accessibility also. So this is one of the important criteria. In all the good journals, they have the availability of DOIs these days. Then you can also search in that particular journal and see if that particular journal has published articles from your geographical region also. Say for example, you are a researcher in India and you are looking for to publish in a particular journal. You try to search whether that particular journal has published some articles from India or not on that particular topic, or at least on some similar topic, but whether they have published some articles from individual countries or not. So if your article is on a particular geographical region and you want to target a journal which will never publish articles from your region, then you will be wasting time. So it is good habit to search for a similar article, and articles you can use keyword India or some keywords like Northern India or plains, Ganga plains or something like that, and try to find out whether that particular journal has published articles in that particular from that particular geographical region or not. Then if you all the journals which are published by representing institutions like learned society or your associations, they are also considered as reputed journals, depending on the quality of articles they have published. So you try to stick to those journals, because those journals have no I will say commercial benefit to publish articles. They are more focus toward growing the discipline. So target those journals which are published by representing institutions like association like Science Academy, National Science Academy or something like that. From your field, you can find out the journals which are published by your learned society. Then the next criteria is, that is writing process related criteria. That also we have to, from where you will get these all values, you have to visit the website of the journal. We have to see the show you some places where you can get you also visit the you have to visit the website. Then we can go to the writing process related. So what is the preferred style and length of the manuscript? So it is very good practice to decide the article, the venue first, the appropriate target journal first. You can make a rank list also, like rank number 1, rank number 2, rank number 3, and then you should start writing the manuscript, because every journal have a peculiar style. You have to find out what kind of articles that journal publishes and what is the style of writing articles that particular journal prefers. And then if you are able to gauge it out, then it will be easy for you to write the manuscript in that preferred style. So for example, some journals, they prefer the article manuscript to be written in first form, like we conducted or we performed the study, something like that. Whereas other journals, like usually from the United Kingdom and other places, they prefer to be written as third person. So it depends on the style in which they prefer. Similarly, American English and British English, all these considerations are there. So if you send your manuscript which is not according to their style, they will send it back. Maybe after one month or 1 week or 2 months, it depends. So you have to consider these things beforehand while you are writing the manuscript itself. You decide 2 or 3 journals, and then accordingly you prepare your manuscript. Similarly, length of the manuscript is considered, like how many words you can go writing for your manuscript. So for some science journals, they have unlimited word count, but some journals they have limits. For example, 5,000 words, 7,000 words. Even some journals they have limit of 3,000 words also. So you have to find out what is the length of the manuscript that they support. So this all are very important part. Either it looks trivial, but it is important, because if it is first the when you submit the manuscript will be evaluated by a editorial office, and they don't look at the content of the manuscript. They just consider these factors, whether the length of the manuscript is as per the instructions, whether the style is proper or not, whether the references are properly formatted or not. So all these are considered before the even editor looks at the manuscript. So you have to find out whether that you are following those instructions or not. Then you have to see what kind of submission your particular journal prefers, whether online, email based or offline. These days, most of the journals are online. They have their own submission system, but some of the journals are still preferring email mode. And I don't think now any good journal is left with is only left with offline submission. So you have to find out if it is a good journal, it will be having a full-fledged online manuscript submission system, which involves a step-by-step process to submit the manuscript. Then you read the author guidelines clearly. Author guidelines are available on the journal website. And before finalizing your manuscript, you have to consider that and prepare your manuscript as per the conditions that are mentioned in the author guidelines. Similarly, you have to see the type of articles that are published by that journal. So some journals, they prefer only conceptual or theoretical articles. For example, they are more concerned on the policy matters. They don't want data papers, like they don't want tabular data or tables or a lot of data and analysis. They are more focused on the conceptual part, developing concepts and more theoretical papers. Whereas most journals, they prefer empirical papers, and some journals they prefer methodological papers also. So depending on the kind of manuscript that you have, you can decide whether that particular journal, you try to find out what kind of article types that particular journal publishes, and then accordingly put your manuscript in one of the categories. So accordingly, you prepare your manuscript in that particular article type. Then next is that is review process. Review process means what are the different considerations when you are your article has been sent for review. So what is the peer review mode that they follow? So some journals, they follow fully blind peer review. In blind peer review mode, neither the author will be able to know who has reviewed their manuscript, nor the reviewers will be able to know whose article they are reviewing. But in sciences, most of the journals are single blind. Single blind means the authors will not able to see who has peer reviewed, but the peer reviewers will be able to see whose article they are reviewing. Similarly, there is a one system called open peer review. So these days, this system is also popular, where the manuscript is uploaded on a publicly accessible website, and anybody can read that paper and put their comments, and one editor is assigned to that particular manuscript. And after having discussions on the manuscript, the auditor decides whether the manuscript will be published or not. The authors also have to respond to the comments or the comments that are made on the manuscript while they are in the review phase. So these kind of systems are also available these days, and mostly it is preprint based systems. But once it is accepted, any journal can take that particular paper and publish it. So they have the collaboration between different journals and preprint servers. Second thing that you can take is time taken for submission to first decision. This is also very important uh, uh, metric that you have to consider, because what happens, like if the submission from submission to first decision, if it is taking a lot of time, then there are chances that the paper will be rejected also, because first decision means when the editor decides whether that paper will be uh, further reviewed or not. So what is the first decision on that particular manuscript? So if it a lot of time is spent by the this in this process, you if and in the end eventually it is rejected, then again you have to spend uh, time and prepare the manuscript again and submit it to somewhere else. So in that time will be wasted. So you have to see, or you can select those journals which have lesser time in terms of the submission to first decision. Similarly, this third point also it is important, but these days it is less important, because once the articles are accepted these days, they are directly placed on the journal website as early cite, or they say that in press articles, something like that. So you will start getting citations. So this is not much problem, but if you have some evaluation criteria mentioning that the article should be published, then also this time is also important. Some journals, they mention about rejection rate also. Rejection rate is number of articles that are received, submissions that are received by the particular journal, and the number of articles that are accepted by that particular journal. So this rejection rate is also important. If a journal has higher rejection rate, then there are chances that that journal is having high reputation. So you should always target your journals, target your journal that is having higher rejection rate. Maybe I sound little different, but because the higher rejection rate represents that the journal is of uh, highly popular and more people want to publish in that particular journal. So that is why that particular journal has higher rejection rate. So the journals having higher rejection rate should be chosen. Then the communication part, whether the review, the whole review process, what is the status, whether you can track your review process or not. Like for example, in email-based systems, it is difficult to track what is going on with your manuscript, at what stage it is. But in mostly in the manuscript submission systems these days, you can log in the system and find out what is the status of your manuscript, whether it is sent for review or not, whether the editor has received the reviews from the reviewers, and whether editor has further decided to go for major revision, minor revision, or what is the status of your manuscript. So everything is communicated through the system, so that those kind of journals are good journals, and you should because if you are not able to track what is going on, it is for you, it will be impatience, and you will be impatient, and it will be difficult for you to follow what is going on. Then another criteria is, that is review the publication fees. Some journals, they charge publication fees in the name of different types of fees. For example, some journals say that you have to pay a submission fees. That is, for every submission, the authors have to pay some fees. Some journals, they charge article processing charge. That is, for the whole article processing, they are charging a particular fees if the article is accepted. But in the submission fees mode, the submission you have to pay whether article is accepted or not accepted. So everybody has their own logic. But as a researcher, you have to put this also in consideration, whether the review process will be having some financial implications for you or not. Then you can also see the open access availability of the journal, whether the journal will be open access or not, because studies have proved that open access journals have higher number of citations and they receive higher number of citations. So also you can and the availability of your findings uh, is more in the open access journal. So that also one criteria you can consider. Now I am coming to the matrix part. I will not go in detail because I was seeing in the schedule that this part is also covered in other talks also. So you can consider these factors also, like impact factor that is provided by the Thomson Reuters or the Clarivate Analytics, the journal citation report that provides impact factor for the journals that are indexed in Web of Science. Site score is another impact factor measure, but it is calculated by Scopus. Then source normalized impact factor, that is the particular discipline specific impact factor that considered journals from the same discipline, and then on the basis of that normalizes them so that the researchers will be able to compare the journals. Then the relative rank of the journal, H index of the journal, what are the citations they are getting per year, how old are the journals. Okay, then the because I consider that older journals are usually more reputed. Right? It depends, but not this statement cannot be always true. But mostly I have seen that if a journal is tested over time, because running a journal is very time consuming and hectic, and as well as it requires a lot of efforts. So if a journal has sustained a long period of time, which means that it is of good quality. Then we have also seen one criteria like number of papers that are published per year. I can see one question was there regarding SNP. Source normalized impact factor is, for example, if you are you are comparing two faculty members, one from social sciences and another from biology. And so mostly in the biology journals, mostly they have the impact factor more than 4, 5 like that. So more than 4, at least they have journals like 15 or 20 impact also. Similarly, in social sciences, you will very rarely find journals having impact factor more than 3. And minimum impact factor, most of the journals will not have impact factor. So if I compare a person from biology with a person from social science, it will not be fair because we are comparing some apples with oranges. So source normalized impact factor, what it does, that is it creates, it provides you a number that is normalized based on a particular field. For example, you are from library science or agriculture discipline. So it will consider all the journals which are from agriculture disciplines and then normalize it and provide the number impact factor for a particular journal. So among the agriculture journals, what is the rank of that particular journal? So you can easily decide. So that is source normalized. Source means the particular discipline and normalize means they are normalizing it based on the source. So some other factors you can consider, like the previous articles on similar topic. If the journal has already published previous articles on the similar topic, there are high chances that your article will also be accepted. Your article will also be considered. But it depends, because some journals in the beginning of the field, when the field emerges, they cover the articles on the particular topic. And when it matures and when there is a plateau phase, when there is a saturation is there on that particular research publication on that particular topic, then they stop publishing articles on that particular topic. So as a researcher, we also have to identify which are the emerging areas which the journals will be able to we will publish, or which the journals are focusing these days. If you are able to capture that part, the chances of publication will be higher. You have to think a journal as a product, and the like every product, the journal editors also, they try to include only the articles which are of high relevance to the reader to their readership. So as a researcher, you also have to think of what will be the most uh, useful or most appropriate for the editors. You have to think when you are writing a manuscript, you have to think as an editor. Like if I am the editor of the particular journal which you are targeting, whether I will be published, whether I will publish this article or not, that manuscript you are writing. So this is very important question that you have to consider. So you have to see what are the previous articles that are published by the journal on the similar topics. Then you can also see when you are writing the manuscript, in your reference list, what are the journals which are highly cited? For example, if you have 15 or 20 or 30 references, you try to find which journals in your references, which journals are on top. Means more than one paper or four papers you have cited of that particular journal. So maybe that journal will be a good target journal for you. Then colleagues' recommendation is also important. You can send the manuscript or you can take help of your colleagues, maybe your supervisor or somebody in your field. Uh, what do you think for which journal this particular manuscript would be more suitable? So you can take help of your colleagues also. Then the some funding agency or institution, they also ask you to publish in particular journals, list of journals. So they provide recommendation that you have to publish in at least these particular journals, in these journals. That also are factors that you can consider. Sometimes, like in India, we have a white list called UGC Care. So as a researcher or as a academician, we are focused on finding out the journals which are listed on UGC Care. So that is also one factor, whether that journal is listed on UGC Care or not, whether that journal is indexed in Scopus, Web of Science, DOAJ or not. Here I would like to mention, like just indexed in Scopus or Web of Science or DOAJ is not only the criteria that we should consider. There are several journals that are very poor quality but are indexed in Scopus. So you have to analyze other factors also. Just don't go that if it is UGC Care, I can publish. If it is in Scopus, I should go for it. You consider other things also, whether your subject is matching with your manuscript or not, whether there is a reputation of that journal in your field or not. All these things you have to consider. You can also find out if there are some known editor acquaintances in the editorial board. This helps you in identifying the journal that because your acquaintances or editor is of your acquaintance, there are high chances that you are belonging to that field, and if your paper will be of high, may be sent for the review also. So these are some of the steps. So in nutshell, what we can say that when you are deciding about the journal, you have to ask some questions to yourself, and you have to honestly answer it. What is the novelty of your findings? If it is very novel work, then you should target for the Q1 journals, the journals which are of high reputation. Because if they also want to publish articles that are novel in nature. Then you have to find out audience to whom it will be most relevant. So if you are targeting general audience and you are targeting experts, for journal audience, there are general kind of journals, and for expert audience, you should always focus on the specific journals, whether the findings are of specific or general interest that I mentioned, and is this belong to a popular area. If your manuscript belongs to a popular area, then there are also chances that your manuscript will be published by reputed or highly ranked journals, because they also want the articles in popular areas. So if all of these are true, then you must go for the top journals of your field. So here I have listed some of the top tools that you can use for finding appropriate journals. So like the first one that you see, that is Master Journalist. This is from Web of Science, and I have given the link also. I'll share the slides also. So if you visit this site, you can search about a particular journal, and they provide a lot of metrics also, like time to first decision, and whether that journal provides GUI or not, what is the frequency, even editorial board members' name also you can get from there, since how long it is indexed in Web of Science. But only limitation is that master journal list consists of only the journals which are indexed in Web of Science. Similar list is Shimago list. Shimago list is also from, it only covers the articles that are published in that are indexed in Scopus journal, Scopus index. So if you want to compare some 2-3 journals that are indexed in Scopus, you can visit this site and compare journals, and lot of metrics they compare, like Q1, Q2, and what are the like H index and sites per year, average sites. So a lot of other metrics they provide, and you can compare, like you compare mobile phones, right, before buying. Similarly, You can compare different journals and then you can decide whether you will go for that particular journal or not. So this covers only the Scopus index journals. Third one is that is journal guide. Recently, this website was not working. I don't know whether it is working yet or not. But just 1 month before I had checked, this was not. They were saying that they are updating it. So this was a publisher neutral website. Publisher neutral means they are not from a particular publisher, but they are neutral. So they cover all the journals, and they had collected a lot of metrics also, like the detailed URL of the journal and the decision first submission to first decision data, time taken, everything they had computed, they had collected, and even it had a feature of manuscript searching also. Like you can paste your abstract there, and it will match your abstract with the published articles and suggest you some journals. So we can call journal guide as a journal suggester tool also. So that also you can consider. Then the next is that a researcher.live journal suggester. This is from Paper Pal people, and this is also a very good website they have developed in last 2 years. And this is also publisher neutral. So you can consider this also. They have paid version also, but the free one is also suitable for us. Then there is the journal finder for from Elsevier. It only searches the journals which are published by Elsevier. So if you are dead sure that you want to publish in only article which are published in, you want to publish only in the journals which are published by Elsevier, then you can just go to this website and paste your abstract. Even by using keywords also, you can see they have the natural language processing search also, NLP based search also. You can paste the manuscript abstract and it will suggest you some journals. Here in Elsevier, they also provide site score and other things also for comparison purpose. Similarly, from Springer also, there is one journal suggester. Only thing is that it covers only the articles which are published by Springer. Another, for biology people, there is one very good recommender or journal suggester tool that is called Jane. And this tool is, the data set that it uses in the background is PubMed. So based on this, you can even find out the experts from a particular field, and also the journals are from a particular field. So here also the text mining based search is available. You can paste your manuscript abstract and it will suggest you some journal, some experts, means authors, and also journals. So if you want to collaborate with somebody and in your field, and you want to find out which are the people working in your field, you can do this by using Jane. Then Open Science DB is another one. Google Scholar also you can use to find out journals. Like you conduct a keyword search and then sort it by using the journals or matrix. So you will be able to find out what are the journals that are appearing more in numbers. Similarly, DOAJ is one website that provides open access journals. So there also subject-based keywords are there that you can use. EndNote also has a manuscript matcher that you can upload your manuscript and it will give you, suggest you some journals. IEEE also for the information technology and engineering people, they can use this publication recommender. Wiley also has, and SJ Finder is another one. There are some other tools also, a lot of them are there. It depends on your field, your nature, what are your criteria that you can use these tools. So I think the time is limited. So I will not, if there is some scope left, I will try to cover journal guide if it is accessible, or the researcher.live journal. I will show you a demo of this. Now I am coming to the second part, that is the publisher copyright policies. So when you decide that you will publish for a particular journal, you have to see what kind of copyright policies they have. Copyright is of important concern. You see, these are the world's best companies, like you might have heard of Amazon and BMW, Google. So you see their profits, it is 2%, 9%, 11%. But Elsevier and Taylor and Francis, they are involved in scholarly publishing, and their profits are higher than the companies which are producing products. So without any product, these companies are earning heavy profits. So because of the closed licensing model they use. So they follow closed licensing model that says that before publishing content, the publishers ask you to sign an agreement, and which you do when you are submitting manuscript. And sometimes they ask you to upload a PDF file by signing it on it and scanning it. So what is the purpose of that? They transfer the copyright to the publisher so that the publisher has permission to edit, print, and distribute the articles. But always the moral right is with the author. So nobody can change your name from that paper. That is the moral right that you already have. Similarly, some journals, they allow you to share with some limitations your published articles. Even some journals provide you the distribution rights also, like you can distribute it. And some journals, they provide that you can store the published version with you also, and in institutional repositories on other places also. So as a researcher, we should be aware what kind of copyright policy that particular target journal in which I am interested has. So this open licensing publisher has permission to add it, but the it has no rights to like it provides the rights to distribute, store, and share without any restrictions. So as an researcher, we must understand the copyright policy of the publication venue which we have selected. So the publisher policy is listed on the publisher website. Usually the journals, they have their common publisher policy. For example, for Emerald journals, the common policy will be there. Elsevier, it has own common policy. Similarly, Sage will have its own policy. Every journal will subscribe to that policy. So you don't have to read the whole uh, policy, but the only the publisher policy is sufficient. So if there are lesser restriction, it is good for the reachability and availability of the article, which further leads to higher impact. So the workflow which we have already discussed, that you submit the manuscript and there are three stages, that is called preprint, postprint, and published version. So preprint is the version which you submit to the journal, and they say that it can you can always make it openly available. Then post-print means the manuscript, which is the final accepted manuscript, that is author accepted manuscript also it is called, that is also called post-print. That is accepted by the journal, and further the journal sends it for copy editing, typeset it, format it, and then they change that manuscript into a PDF. That is called published version of record. So they are more secure, they are more insecure about this particular a PDF file. They don't want you to share this PDF file, especially in the case of the non-open access journals. So they provide some restrictions. So one of the restriction is called embargo. Embargo is the period of restriction starting the date of publication, after which some of the restrictions are taken over. So let us see. You might also be aware of the Creative Commons also. That is a collection of open licenses. And in Creative Commons, a lot of open licenses, more options are available for researchers. Even some journals these days, they are closed access, but they provide mild Creative Commons also. So these are different variations. I will not go much in detail on these variations, but the CC0, that is the no rights are reserved. And then based on the different kind of uh, restriction that you are invoking, then these are different kind of options that are available. So as a researcher, it is very difficult for a researcher to read the publisher policy because it is a lengthy document, and the researchers, because they are not they are not legal experts, they are not able to understand all the intricacies of the publishing policy. So there is one website called Sherpa Romeo. This website collects the publisher policy from different journals, and then uh, uh, it provides you in very easy understandable format in a structured layout form so that researchers can easily understand. For example, if this icon is there, which means that the journal supports open access publishing. If this is there, then additional open access fees involved. If this cross is there, which is means not permitted. If C is there, means copyright is with the owner. So they have created some icons, and then there some labels are there. So using these icons, the researchers can easily understand the policy of the particular journal. So if this one screenshot, this shows that the one example publisher policy layout. So for example, in this particular journal, the published version, there are two paths available, path A and path B. The published version, when you pay a fees, then you can host it on any website. On journal website, there is some embargo is available, and the license is CC. And you can even upload on PubMed Center. Okay. For published version, pathway B, you can, different restrictions are there. Like even you can go by CC BY or CC BY NCND. So these are two pathways that are available for this particular journal. Similarly, for accepted version, they have put embargo of 12 months. And non-commercial institution repository you can upload, PubMed Central you can upload, and Archive you can upload. So these are the some databases where you can upload your accepted version. The submitted version which you submit, that is preprint, they have no restriction. And non-commercial institution, anywhere you can upload it also. So this is how they provide the easily in understandable format in a structured manner, and with the help of icons, they provide the publisher policy and helps the researcher understanding the publisher policies. So how to go for it? You can go to this website, and there is a search bar. You type the name of the journal. This website you can go and you can type the name of journal, and then that particular journal's copyright policy, this kind of window will open, and you can understand whether you are allowed to upload the manuscript on ResearchGate or on LinkedIn or not. That you can see from here. And if it is allowed, like the how much embargo is there for that particular journal, that this you can find out, so that tomorrow there will not be any problem with you regarding the copyright part, or the journal publisher will ask you that you have infringed the copyright. So with this, now we can switch to the next part, that is the predatory journals and the predatory publishing, which is in which our country sadly is in the top. And this reputation has been formed because of some people who are involved in this kind of publishing. And as a researcher, we should have all the criteria in mind while we are selecting the journal, so that we are not trapped, we are not becoming prey for this kind of predators. So predatory journal, it was the term, it was coined by Jeffrey Bell, a librarian at the University of Colorado, and it is also called as deceptive or scamming journals. So you see here, one scholar is there with his publication, and these are the journals, predatory ones, deceptive journals, which want to make this scholar manuscript as a prey. So that is why this term predatory is more apt, and we will try to see what are the different characteristics that are associated with predatory journals. So usually these kind of characteristics are shown regarding misconduct and unethical behavior of these predatory journals. This I have taken from this website. So just verbatim I am putting it here so that you can understand it. So usually there will be no peer review, and for an early career researchers, it is a dream to get first publication. And if there is no peer review, that is the most means you can say that a kind of trap that these predatory journals create, that your article will be published without peer review. And for a new researcher, it is very means they don't know the value of the publication. They go for it. They think that they need the publication very fast. So why we should not go for the this journal, which is publishing my paper in just few days without peer review. So this is one of the reasons that this, if a journal has no peer review, certainly it is a predatory journal without any if and buts. They don't apply any editing or improvement of manuscript before publishing. All the good journals, they have some kind, they apply some, they perform copy editing, they do formatting, they sometimes they change the sentences also if the author is not able to express what the intent, and if it is not clear to the readers, they conduct the copy editing properly and then create the manuscript final article. But these predatory journals, because they don't want to spend on copy editors, they don't want to spend any money, they want to keep your whole, whatever they ask you, they want to keep that whole amount with them. So that is why these people, they don't apply any editing. Whatever you will give, they will put the first PDF page, cover page, and publish it on their website. Then one issue will have more than 10 or even 20 low quality articles. If you see that particular usually predatory journals, they in every issue, good journals, they have maximum 8 to 10 articles maximum in every issue. But in predatory journals, you will see that lot of articles they will publish in each issue. Even there is no regularity in the issues also. They have always usually publish fake or hoax papers because no quality control is applied. Even they send spam emails to thousands of researchers asking them to contribute to the journals. And you might have received a lot of such kind of emails. If you publish one paper, you will start getting also. So a lot of spamming they do. They list the members on the editorial boards without those people agreeing or knowing to it. So if you check a particular person's name on their editorial board, those people will now be aware that their names are being used. They sometimes make up names also of editorial board. Usually like some Korean 2, 3 authors, they will take for one first author's surname, second author's first name, they will take and create a new name, new editor they'll create. Say they copy material, design, advertise as established and legitimate journals. These kind of journals are called fake journals. The look wise, their website will be same, look very similar. Even design also, you will see that like it will look like a reputed journal. They just want to grab your money. That's it. They don't have any motive of growing your field or like contributing to the field. They just want to make money. So you have to find out these characteristics in predatory journal. Identical names with established journals. So, for example, if one journal is very popular, they will create an identical name with that particular journal. Even say they provide that they use some ISSN number also, but if you check, the ISSN will not be assigned to them. So there is this website I have put in India. You can search for a particular ISSN number if it is available, whether that particular ISSN allotted to that particular journal or not. They fake journal metrics also, such as some global impact factor or rising impact factor or international impact factor, something like that. So they'll create such metrics which the new researchers are not aware. State wrong or misleading information about the size and location of the publishers. For example, you see this email. In this is by default, I put on spam. But if you see that it says that International Journal of Recent Scientific Research. So they are not focused that whether they are in which discipline they are. They say it is a peer reviewed open access journal that publishes original research articles as well as reviewed articles in several areas. We all know that a particular journal is devoted to a particular discipline only. And even in a discipline also, particular field only, specific field only. So they are publishing articles from engineering, mathematics, botany, chemistry, physics, physical education, and even education also, right from commerce, social science to. So they want to trap all the authors, right from engineering to education. So this is peculiar with the predatory journals. So if I search, just I copied the ISSN number and I searched on this Sherpa Romeo, there is also ISSN, this one. You can search there, no results were found, which means that the ISSN number was also fake. So here I have put some of the criteria to identify them. We'll just discuss one by one very fast. The journal asks for a submission rather than publication fees. They will ask for a submission fees. They'll say, we don't ask you to publish anything. You have to just pay for the submission. It promises a very fast publication. You know, if you see, I think that particular slide has gone back down. In this, it was written that just publish in 1 week or 1 day. Next day only they will publish, which means that they will always promise a fast publication. So what are the weaknesses of the researchers? They try to them. So journal defines no clear publication date. You will not able to find out when the issue comes. Like for a good journal, you will be able to know that the first issue comes in January, then the second comes in March. Like that, you will be able to find out. But in these journals, you will not able to find out what is their publication date. The journal claims or seems to be rather new. Nobody in your field might have heard about it. The aims and scope of the journals are not defined or rather vague. The journal scope will be written in such a way that you think of any discipline it will cover. Journal publishes papers that are far outside the scope. And if you search for the look at the papers that the journal has published, it will be different from the scope that they have mentioned. And they usually these journals they request manuscript to be submitted via email. Why? Because they cannot afford a manuscript submission system. It requires a lot of money to maintain a manuscript submission system. Submission by email, anybody can ask you or anybody can start a journal. They have very high acceptance rate. Whatever you submit, they will accept it because they want money, publication fees or submission fees. The paper title and abstract contains error. If you read, lot of errors will be there. The journals claims to be international, but very few paper will be from international authors. Very small editorial board or very large editorial board, because they have to just create names, so they will create them. They does not list contact address of the editor or editorial board members. For example, in Scopus, if you want to get indexed your journal in Scopus, all the editors along with their email ID and affiliation address should be there on the journal website. But because these journals, they don't want to target Scopus indexing, they will just provide anything or they will not provide a contact address. The editor in chief of this journal is also the editor in chief of many other journals. That also you can understand. One person is running 100 journals. Even there was one newspaper articles also in like in Tamil Nadu or some place in India. One person was running 1000 or some predatory journals. So journal has a poor and unprofessional looking website. If you see the website, you will find out that this website might be designed some 20 years back. It sends unsolicited emails, spams to many authors. The language will include poor language, spelling mistakes and grammar errors will be there in the communication also. It is not transparent about editorial policy. Their editorial policy will have more focus on how the payment has to be made, not on the what kind of content that they are expecting. They will claim a high impact factor or some impact factor but that impact factor cannot be obtained. For example, they will claim that they have impact factor, but for impact factor calculation, the journal should have at least published for 3 years. So for a new journal, impact factor cannot be calculated. So, but they will claim that 1 year old journal also have the impact factor. The journal require author to transfer copyright despite claiming it is open access. Publisher is not a member of there are some committees or some associations, professional body. These journals will not be member of this kind of professional publishers, professional bodies. They will not be indexed in PubMed or Scopus or Web of Science. Their email address will have non-professional journal email address like gmail.com or yahoo.com. Even they cannot afford a mail server also. So journal is listed on Bell's list. The journal is not listed on directory of open access. Journal is not read or known by your colleagues. They do not publish it or nor read the this journal. So there are some tools and websites that are available that can help you find the predatory journal, whether the particular journal that you are targeting is predatory or not. So there is one website called Think Check Submit. So in this website, it will ask you some questions. When you are thinking about a journal, it will ask you some questions. These questions will be much of the criteria that we have already discussed. So like, for example, it will ask whether the journal claims for fast publication. If you say yes, and it will ask you some other questions. And if more questions are there that are matching their algorithm, it will tell you that this journal is predatory in nature or not. Then there is one initiative called Stop Predatory Journals. This also lists a lot of predatory journals. There was a list prepared by Bell's also, Jeffrey Bell also, that is called Bell's list. But I think because of some politics, they asked him to remove this website. So maybe this is not present, but this Bell's list is available through torrents or some places. So it is still on the internet. Then there is one database called Cabell's International Database that is called Journal Blacklist, and it's a paid database. So it has listed around 12,000 predatory journals. So if there is a match, the journal which you are targeting and it is matching in this, don't go for that. There is one extension also that you can install in Chrome or Microsoft Edge that is called Lazy Scholar. If you install it and you visit a predatory journal website, this extension will warn you that you are visiting a predatory journal. So it automatically checks the Bell's list and notifies if there is a match. Then there are whitelist we have already discussed, like UGC Care. You can visit the website and the journal is there or not. But UGC Care also, the maybe it may be counted for your promotion and other things. But in terms of reputation, you have to see other factors also, if you are considering the reputation also. So what are the points to remember? That open access publishing is ethical and it makes research accessible to the world. But there are many well-run journals based in developing countries, and these journals are often open access. Predatory journal misuse this open access model to deceive authors. So you try to objectively evaluate the merit of any journal you are interested, and then be suspicious of the grand claims made by a journal that cannot be verified. So these are some of the references that I have used. With this, I stop here, and if any questions are there regarding this part, we can come.